Good morning. Actually, good afternoon. My name is Leslie Williams. I just woke up from a nap, so I'm in San Diego, California, and today's date is June 29th, 2012. And I don't make the best of videos. I'm learning disabled, and I process a nonlinear order because I have attention deficit disorder. But I want you to understand something. It's not like I process everything in nonlinear order. It's mostly when I have to give my immediate attention to something is when, or when I'm trying to remember something is when it seems like I'm a little bit lost for words. But anyways, so when I'm making a video, I feel a little pressured. I'm a target of what is known as organized stalking and electronic harassment and remote neural monitoring. And some behavioral research is involved in this in reference to the expedition that's being perpetrated towards me. And in order to get a preliminary introduction in reference to the how and who's connected to it, you can go to Google and type in a gang stalking tech, everything you need to know. It's a manifesto of an individual who directs and manages the organized stalking and target experiences along their routes. And what he did was he went offline and typed this manifesto and then went to an internet cafe and posted it online. And the reason why I'm directing you to this manifesto is because he's a manager of organized stalking expeditions, yes, but he also details quite a bit about the syndicate that he's attached to. And so in order for you to help you understand what's happening towards me and hundreds of thousands of other Americans right now in real time, and literally millions worldwide, because this is a international, transnational, and national campaign that is being brought about towards innocent, 100% innocent human beings, okay, just like you. Okay, and so the reason why I am bringing this type of crime to your attention is because, let me tell you something. I was an open target of this, which meant electronic harassment was which means that electronic harassment was being openly used towards me. Physical organized gang stalking was being used openly towards me, and remote neural monitoring was blatantly being used towards me. I've been a target of this crime now openly for 10 full straight years, every single day. And out of those 10 years, 7 of them, 2002 to 7 of them, I experienced it without having a name for any of it. And an additional 8 was being perpetrated towards me without me being without me knowing that electronic harassment and remote neural monitoring was part of it. Now, but I want you to understand something. This expedition has literally been going on towards me in one way or another my entire life because of who my parents are connected to, and whom at least 2 of my other siblings are now connected to and indoctrinated into. It's nothing but organized crime within the system that also has military attachments to it when they're needed for the type of human experimentation that can be involved with it. And if you look at the manifesto, you can clearly see that some targets are considered as nothing but lab rats, and research is mentioned throughout the whole manifesto. Now, getting back to, because they make money off of the research studies and the behavior modification studies that are attached to the remote neural monitoring manipulation. And so what is gonna be the subject matter or the focus of this particular video? Well, first, I'm going to ask you to please excuse me so I can take a puff off a cigarette. I don't smoke that much, but today I took a break to, because I hurt my back yesterday. I fell. Hang on. Fellow citizens, to give you a preliminary introduction in reference to the malice aforethought, the extreme criminality that is attached to these expeditions, and the malice aforethought that is also attached to them, and the clear, blatant, total 100% disregard that these perpetrators have and managers have, and how the system protects it, flat out, concerning targets and what they do to targets. As a preliminary introduction, I'm going to steer you to one news article that is directly, literally even attached to what's happened to me. Go to Google, okay, and type in Oakwood Hospital, Dearborn, Michigan. Oakwood Hospital doctor falsely diagnoses hundreds, perhaps thousands of children with epilepsy and implants them with neurocognitive implants in order to supposedly control the seizures that are attached to the epilepsy, even though they did not have epilepsy. Okay? This occurred between the years of 2007 and 2009. The Benner Law Firm, that had a law firm in Dearborn, Michigan, Farmington Hills, Michigan, and I think in two other places, was handling the class action lawsuit for this for these parents of these children. Now, I'm going to steer you in an opposite direction that's connected to it just for 1 second, then I'm going to get back to it. Go to Freedom Fighters for America. Freedom Fighters for America's webpage. On that webpage, you will literally find, if you look, okay, under the X-rays and diagrams section of that webpage, you will find the X-ray of a Terry Parker Jr. And in that X-ray, you'll see 47 metallic implants literally put in his brain. They literally had the X-ray picture of it, that were put in his brain in Canada, which is right next door to Dearborn, Michigan. Okay, there's Dearborn, Michigan, then there's Detroit, and then there's Canada. And you can get to Canada in a 10 to 15 minute car drive, literally driving your car to Canada from Dearborn, Michigan. It just takes 15 minutes for you to go through Dearborn and then Detroit, and then to cross the bridge into Canada. Now, they found 47 metallic implants in his brain that were put in his brain in 1967 under the guise of epilepsy. He never had epilepsy. He was a victim of mind control experimentation by the CIA. If you look extensively into CIA human experimentation, you will come to understand that they worked in Canada and they worked in different states in the United States, and Michigan was one of them. Now, U of M, University of Michigan, is directly connected to the crime that has happened towards me when I was in Michigan. And if you thoroughly, extensively look at U of M, Dearborn, Michigan, and Ann Arbor, you will clearly see that the CIA is 100% connected to University of Michigan, Dearborn, and Ann Arbor. If you do the research, Google and cross-reference it. CIA, CIA classes, CIA recruiting, CIA particular professors working for the CIA at U of M, and human experimentation in reference to the CIA. And the U of M is directly connected to the crime that happened towards me, and so is Oakwood Hospital in Dearborn, Michigan. Now, this doctor who was doing this to these children in Oakwood Hospital in Dearborn, Michigan, was doing it in the same calendar years that I was due to go into by an individual who had entered my life through casual means. Okay? I was homeless as a result of this organized stalking expedition, literally getting property owners and landlords on board in these campaigns to evict me. Because destitution, you got to create destitution of targets in order to be able to then exploit the destitution to take control of the target. Because in part, that's what this is all about, is racketeering as well. It's all about money at the end of the day. Because the individuals who do the research for the research that's sold, okay, sells the research. Okay, so for them, the people who are behind what's happening to us targets, it's all about money. Okay, it's organized crime within the system that's involved in these type of campaigns as well. Now, I was due to go into this hospital in the same calendar year as this doctor was working, and that doctor's name did appear on the Medicare summaries. And when I discovered it, I went to the Benner Law Firm in Farmington Hills, Michigan, that was handling the lawsuit for these children. Now, since they had extreme criminal aspirations for me, which was human trafficking, brain entrainment, neural enslavement, see what they do is they try to literally create through casual conversations and neural linguistic programming, which is brought about by people that will enter life through friendly appearing means, casual means, and by ways and avenues that you have no idea that criminal expeditions or activities are going on. They try to put ideas in your head about what you can do for money if you're broke. okay? And if you're a woman, I think you can understand what that means, okay? And that's in part how social services can play a role in this, because they will keep literal social services away from you in order to literally put you in a position to where you need money. Now, I'm on disability, so you might think to yourself, well, how does she need money if she's on disability? Well, they were duping me into they were literally, after they created the homelessness, they were literally duping me to depend on this one girl that I had met through a self-help group. She would in turn dupe me to go into what is known as a syndicated run group home. And I did not know that was the case either. I would say, okay, well, I need a place to live. They were creating immediate situations for me to wear me down, so when then she would reappear along my path and offer this, I would make a decision in an immediate situation. So I would go into this group home and pay them anywhere between $400 to $600 a month for rent, and then as soon as rent was paid, they would stage an incident that would cause me to want to leave. That was physically threatening, and they were also threatening to force me to see a doctor. And these were all staged incidences, and the reason why they would do that was because seeing the doctor was where they would bilk the Medicare. Yeah. And they were trying to set the stage to actually take legal custody of me, but I was blowing the whistle in between these events online, which made them nervous as well, because cyber surveillance is part of these expeditions. And so after they would create the incidents and after they would create these incidences and then blame me for them because they were staged incidences, okay, and then blame me for them between the incident that was threatening and being blamed for them, okay, they would cause me to want to leave, but then they wouldn't return my rent. They did that to me on over 6 occasions. And you want to know how they were able to expedite it towards me on 6 occasions? Well, let me just put it to you this way. Whenever, you're going to really love this. Hang on a second, though. When you're a target of organized stalking, remote neural monitoring is always used towards you and against you. And what they do is create neural circuits to get you to believe certain things, to get you to think about certain things, and then to get you to act on them. I'm going to give you an example. Say if an individual is on vacation. He just got a 2-week vacation from work, and he got a bonus at the same time. Another individual that he's working with is part of organized stalking crews, and he don't know it. He's always been friendly toward this guy, and he doesn't have a clue. So this one person literally perceives this other guy as being at least a well-known acquaintance or a friend. That person will come over to this guy's house and say, hey, he's on vacation too, of course, and he'll say, hey, we both got bonuses, let's go gambling, let's go to the casino. And the guy thinks to himself, okay, well, I'm on vacation, why not? I can spare $300, okay? So what he'll do is he'll put the idea in the guy's head to go to the casino, okay? He comes over his house. He puts the idea in his head to go to the casino. The guy takes a shower, gets dressed, gets his car keys. They both go together. They go to the casino, and they might even win a little bit. Okay, and so that's all one neural pathway, one neural circuit. Then 3 or 4 days later, since they won, he'll come back over again or call him up and say, "Hey, you want to go again?" And the guy goes, "Okay, I can spare $100." He goes to the casino. He wins a little bit again. That's the same neural pathway that's being reinforced after it was created. The handlers, that the guy who came over to the house and asked him to go gambling, he's associated to organized stalking expeditions, okay? And since he's connected to him, he knows an individual, okay? He was deliberately put along that guy's path to get him to think about going to the casino deliberately. And why was that? To create a neural circuit about going to gamble, okay? And that guy is directly connected to an individual that has remote neural monitoring. So what they did was they created this neural pathway to get the guy to think about going to the casino to gamble, and then the connected, associated motor cortex associated behaviors of going. That's all one neural pathway. The thinking about going, the getting up and preparing to go, and the going, and then the interreactions of actually playing at the casino and then leaving. and all the emotional states that are also involved as well as like the belief that if I go, I'm going to win, and everything is all one neural pathway: the emotions, the brain states, the behaviors, and the thoughts. All four is one neural pathway. They identify and mark that neural pathway using remote neural monitoring. They identify the resonance frequency of that neural pathway using remote neural monitoring. They can then, after it's identified, they mark it and stimulate it using remote neural monitoring to bring it back into current consciousness, okay, to be rethought out and reacted upon, okay? And when they stimulate any specific neural network after they identify and mark it, it's stimulated in a way to where it's kept constant by sending a pulsating modulated frequency that's interfaced with it in order to keep it constant in the conscious forefront, to keep it active. And as a result of it being stimulated through pulsated stimulation, okay, the target and the individual has no other conscious scrutiny to override it with any competing evoked potential processes, which means any competing thought processes that maybe I'd better not go, I could lose, or this is, this could become a problem, or anything like that, because they keep it stimulated by pulsating the actual neural network to keep it alive and keep it active, okay? And they'll stimulate it with such a pulsation to where it literally overrides all other conscious deliberations, okay, and any other competing evoked potentials, okay, until the target literally acts it out, because you got to remember there's motor cortex associated behaviors attached to it. And that's what they did in reference to them creating a neural pathway with me concerning running to a friend and calling a friend and getting her to get me set up with these people that own these group homes, okay? They got me to think about it, then they got me to act on it, yeah, and then they got me to act on the actual going and signing the papers. It was nothing but neural control to get you to hand over money. Yeah, remote neural monitoring. Let me ask you a question. If remote neural monitoring is a technology that literally exists that you can thoroughly scrutinize at Google, okay, and brain entrainment is directly connected to it, and at times even neurocognitive weapons are used as a conduit to assist them in the remote neural monitoring, Oakwood Hospital, Dearborn, Michigan, they literally had me believing, as a result of being homeless, that I could go into the hospital and get all kinds of services if I just do one thing. And what is that one thing? Well, the individual that entered my life said that, Leslie, she goes, you're homeless. She goes, you're struggling right now. You got these problems. Why don't you just go to the hospital and see? I heard through another friend that she went to the hospital and got all this kind of help. And I go, how did she do that? Well, she goes, well, she went to the hospital because she was suicidal. I said, really? She goes, well, all you got to do is go to the hospital and say you're suicidal, and the social workers will give you all different kinds of assistance in reference to getting an apartment and getting all this other kind of help. Well, I believed it, so I thought about it, because you got to remember, I was in the midst of extreme stress while I was being gang stalked along all my routes. I was homeless, and I hadn't been homeless for years, okay, for over a decade. And I'd never been homeless before without a car, okay? And I was being subjected to organized stalking. I didn't know how they were doing all that while experiencing electronic harassment, which I didn't have a name for yet, and while I was being manipulated neurally and didn't have no idea about remote neural monitoring. So I was desperate and vulnerable and stressed out like you would not believe. I was under extreme duress. And the person who was doing this, I had no experiences yet with hospital staff, and no understanding that the whole goal to get me to run back and forth to hospitals were for two reasons: to bilk my Medicare out of thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Yeah, because they were directly connected to doctors, which you can understand by looking at the manifesto. And then they kick back what's bilked out of Medicare to the main players involved in it. But I didn't know it. So the first and second time I went into the hospital, they would say, well, the person that can offer you these services, they're not here and they're not working right now, and you're gonna be released. So if you ever have to come back, we'll see if we can get that person here to help you out. But right now, while you're here, this person is working different shifts. They would always find some excuse why they weren't offering me the services, and the reason why they kept giving me these excuses was to keep me believing and thinking in those terms that if I kept coming back, I would get services. because that's a neural pathway they're literally creating and developing to get me to come back. Yeah, so they could stimulate that neural pathway to bring that thinking back into consciousness to get me to call 911 or call a friend to take me to the hospital. And that's where they would book the Medicare. So it was nothing but, this is creating these neural networks and identifying and marking them using remote neural monitoring is called brain entrainment. And they use, in part, implants, because the implants are transreceiver implants. They transmit the evoked potentials of a target to the remote neural monitoring, and they also can receive EEG rhythms of to a target. Okay, and to understand that, you can go to bugsweep.com, surveillanceissues.com, and thoroughly review also remote neural monitoring at Google. Now, so the whole goal was for them was to create neural pathways to get a specific target to believe a certain thing, okay, to then to act on that, what they're being told and what they're believing as a result, and that's all one neural pathway. They identify and mark it using remote neural monitoring, and then can bring everything that is in that neural pathway back into current consciousness in real time to get you to react and rethink in the same exact way that of all the evoked potentials and all the actions that are in that neural pathway. It's nothing but mind control for money. Literal mind control, because when they stimulate any neural network that they create, it's stimulated under their perceptual radar, so you had no idea that you're being stimulated, that this neural network is being brought back into current consciousness from a third party. You had no idea, because it's being stimulated from a remote distance. That's why they call it remote neural monitoring. My name is Leslie Williams. So when I went to the Benner Law Firm and told them that I believe that there was an implant put, well, I actually tried to just make an appointment. All the real dialogue that was exchanged between me and the Benner Law Firm was done over at U of M in Dearborn, Michigan. And as a result of their cyber monitoring, I believe they faked email replies from that law firm or approached them. Yeah, because they got power positions in the community. Because this technology and these expeditions are literally run by organized crime in the system at every level. We're talking about the federal level, the state level, including the State Department. You can go to YouTube and type in David Larson and gang stalking and listen to the Popeye videos down the rabbit hole and understand who he is. The same thing literally happened to him, and he's the head of the water department for Yucca Valley, California. Okay, they implanted him, and he's being subjected to gang stalking as well. And if you look at the manifesto, you can clearly see that research is described throughout the whole manifesto that they consider us target as nothing but lab rats, because as a result of the neural networks that are created, and then how they stimulate those neural pathways, and how it can control human behavior, what they're doing is also looking at the creation of the neural networks and then the behavior modification that's done as a result, because this brain entrainment can be used for any type of criminal aspiration, including getting women to believe that they can get with men for money if they're hungry. Yeah, and they believe it and they act on it, and that's a neural pathway. And then they control the woman by constantly stemming that specific neural network for any man they bring along their path, which is nothing but neural enslavement for human trafficking. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Okay, and I'm exposing this all over the internet, and they know I'm exposing it. So what they're going to do is take me off Social Security until they can take advantage of the financial destitution that's created as a result, and the circumstances that are created as a result, to get me to run to the very system they're connected in. Okay, to either put me and trap me in a group home where I'm going to be, and then they're going to apply for and apply, and what they're going to do is make me a ward of the state eventually. They're going to eventually attempt it because of what I'm whistleblowing about. Okay, because this is organized crime in the systems that's being used for any and every type of criminal aspiration that you can think of. I'm talking about the literal neural enslavement of human beings. This is being done to young men and young women, because there's a lot of homosexuals that are involved in these sexual servitude rings. They're literally taking human beings, black, white, Mexican, Asian, Persian. You don't have to be any color, it doesn't matter. They figure as long as they can do this to you and get away with it, because they infiltrate your family, they'll infiltrate your spousal relationship, they blacklist you from employment, they staged vehicle accidents so you don't even have a car to sleep in, they get landlords on board, they get bank managers on board. It's organized crime in the system that has tentacles out within the community. Okay, and all they do is literally have you subjected to organized stalking tactics to break you down, and those tactics involve as well as assault, rape. Go to Google or go to YouTube and type in "learning disabled woman brutally assaulted on an MTS bus." Yeah, look in the comments feature of that YouTube video. I literally predicted I was going to be assaulted as a result of reaching out for help and exposing this crime. Yeah, and through them seeing that I was preparing to do it over at USD in their library through the tactic of cyber surveillance, they just did the math that she's eventually going to go there. I was printing out privacy consent forms, so I made an email because they had already had me assaulted at a bus stop on August 17th. So, and that was as a result of me blogging and exposing online already what they were currently doing. So I made an email stating that as a result of me preparing to go to Barbara Boxer's office, there's a great likelihood they'd either come to my hiking area and evict me or assault me. And I stated that if they assault me, it's either going to be walking, on public transportation, or riding my bike. Okay? And 11 days later, I was brutally assaulted on an MTS bus, and then MTS sent me an altered video of the assault. Okay? And there's already blogs and YouTubes online concerning the description of how the video is assaulted in itself. Alright, I gotta go. Today's date is June 29th, 2012. Make sure you look at the YouTube video that's in the comments feature of this one. And go to YouTube and Google and type in "learning disabled woman tortured in San Diego again, learning disabled woman brutally assaulted on NTS bus," and look at all the YouTube videos and the comments feature. And make sure you always look at the comments features of my YouTube videos and look at the blogs. And you'll get an idea of what's happening towards me, who's involved. And you gotta do some research when it comes to my videos and blogs because there's a lot of them. Alright, I'm going to go. Today's date is June 29th, 2012, and this is currently, the organized stalking is currently happening towards, I'm not involved in any criminal activity whatsoever. I'm not involved in prostitution at all. I'm a Christian woman. I'm a devout Christian woman. Hang on. Okay, I'm a devout Christian woman. I read my Bible every day. Okay, I don't engage in no prostitution at all. I had to flee Michigan because they were trying to get me sucked into prostitution rings, literally there, through even a Catholic church, Sacred Heart. And I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't sleep around. I don't engage. I don't steal. I'm not involved in no criminal activity at all. I'm just trying to survive this situation while exposing it. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The San Diego police are directly involved in this crime. So if you could V-blog this for me, it might help in it as far as exposure concerning what's happening to me. I'm being gang-stalked on a feverish scale over at UCSD by their library staff, by students, and by their bus services, bus drivers. Yes. I'm in San Diego, California. Again, today's date is June 29, 2012.